It is now my great pleasure to introduce our guest today, Dwayne Romero, who is running for the Democratic nomination for Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. Dwayne is a combat veteran, small business owner, and Democratic candidate for Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. Raised on food stamps by a single mom, Dwayne went on to play baseball at West Point, served 7 years in the Army Corps of Engineers, earning a Bronze Star during the first Gulf War and graduating from Army Ranger School before putting roots down in Colorado, where he and his wife Margaret have lived for more than 35 years. He served in Governor Hickenlooper's cabinet as Director of Economic Development, has held numerous local elected offices, including City Council and School Board, and today employs 120 Coloradans through his property management company on the Western Slope. Now he's entered the Democratic primary for the 3rd Congressional District for the chance to take on the bread sandwich himself, Jeff Hurd, if he wins the Democratic primary this June. Dwayne Romero, welcome to the Get More Smarter podcast.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Definitely.
Well, we're happy to have you. Before we get into your campaign, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I mean, I ran your bio down as best I could, but tell us a little bit about who you are and what brought you here.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate it for sure. I think the reference to mom and single mom and the 3 boys, really rings a bell. I think with a lot of folks in the district. In other words, we were raised on food stamps and really learned the value of stretching a dollar, frankly. And then obviously at the age of 18, this is super important, kind of raising the right hand and taking an oath of office and an oath with your life to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That really set the stage for, my career arc of service. It's 43 years later. And as you said, we've done some great work at the state level and done a ton of work at the local level over 20 plus years. Like you said, a couple of terms at City Council, a couple of terms at School Board, a couple of terms on Fire Protection District Board, which I think people are now starting to finally realize the importance of protection and safe spaces. And then also, I'm currently in my 2nd term on the Water and Sanitation District Board, another super important space. All of it really just represents a body of work and service. I'm going to extend it to my family. My wife of 35 years, you mentioned. She's 25-year public education teacher. She's currently teaching kindergarten there at Woody Creek. She is an absolute superstar and a Gold Star family member. Her father was killed in action in 1972 as a 1-star general, 10th year of combat. I mean, their family's legacy of service, commitment, and sacrifice it's real. I mean, it's absolutely to the core. And we like to think about it. We are the same ilk. Our family. I have 3 daughters. We raised 3 daughters in the district, guys. We've been in the district for, like you said, 30 years. All 3 of our daughters are now responsible young adults. Two of which have taken on Army ROTC scholarships to help pay for their college, and have served and are currently serving. I got an active duty Army officer, U.S. Army, 2nd lieutenant. I mean, it's real. And by the way, it's super real right now, given what this administration is doing. And all of that, I think resonates very, very well with, all the folks that we work with. You mentioned the folks working in our company. Half of them are Latino. We have over 50 jobs that are good, hardworking, blue-collar jobs. We do property management. So we're doing water districts. We're doing sewer districts. We're doing roads, utilities, industrial buildings, commercial buildings, apartment buildings. We manage from the Colorado River Valley up to the Roaring Fork Valley and all points in between. I say that to say, we've created hundreds and hundreds of jobs in the district as well. Again, it keeps coming back to this distinct difference in terms of this choice now in the primary of someone who is boots on the ground and has spent 43 years of service to nation, service to state, service to the community, and then now has it with their family. And they're repeating those service hallmarks, if you will, which absolutely makes a difference. And the district, I think by and large, tremendously resonates with that body of work, and there's respect, and there's trust, and there's confidence. And guys, It's been actually 18 years since we have won this seat. The Democrats have won the seat. John Salazar last won it 18 years ago. It is time. And by the way, the vibe on the street, the vibe from Democrats, the vibe even just in the delegate assemblies, hugely in favor of finding someone that can actually resonate with a broad swath of the district and take that seat back. There's a lot of fight right now, I think, across blue, red, you name it. There's a lot of fight because this administration has gone way too far, and it's time to stop them. And it starts with our seat, and then we flip the House, and we start playing good defense, and then we get ourselves set up for 2028. That's where my headset is. That's where my passion is. That's where our focus is. By the way, we were getting kind of laughed at and mocked 3.5 weeks ago. Like, hey, who's this latecomer? What does he know? He doesn't know anything. And here it is: 49% of the delegate vote came our way. There were three delegates. They go the other way. We win. That's how close it was. With $515,000 in the jar, right here, right now, 3.5 weeks. Actually, now here we stand. It's about 4.5 weeks. We literally launched on March 2nd. So
well, let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
You entered the race officially just a few hours before the filing deadline.
Yep.
Why cut it so close?
I know, right, for sure. There's a ton of practical, and I'm going to just give you the top set. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, I own a business, run a business. We have over 100 people. And it's folks that are absolutely concerned, not just whether or not their boss and their owner is going to jump into a political campaign, but they're worried about ICE raids in places like Glenwood and maybe, every day we're supporting those folks. They represent dozens and dozens and dozens of other families that we are actively supporting. So for sure, Jason, this was not a simple decision. In fact, we were going to launch in the fall, and I've been thinking about this for years. I mean, as you guys point out, I was serving at the state level. Hickenlooper's got some good mojo going. There's a lot of good things to be done. I've never thought about it as a trophy. I've always thought about it as a continuation of my arc, and my arc of service is my proof. So, Jason, it's hard to decide to get into it. Number one. Number two, this is purely personal, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. I had a couple of major ortho surgeries, literally one in November and one, check this out, Jason, February 17th, a total hip replacement.
Are you feeling better?
Feeling great. Oh, my God. But I bring that up not like some sort of like pat my, feel sorry for me. No, it's holy shit. Life is tough. There's a lot of stuff going on, and not the least of which I got to get a hip replacement. And the fact that we did it on the 17th and then we decide on the 24th and then we launch on the 2nd tells you how much support and traction and confidence that we have, trust that we can carry. This race deserves.
So could we say that you were maybe still on under the effect of painkillers when you decided to run?
I know, right? That's my wife. This is a rare event. Again, 35 years. I love her like a death. She's a Colorado gal. You guys she's a badass. She was like, "Hey, if you don't do it, I might jump in because we're so pissed about what's going on with the administration." Right. And by the way, Jason, I'm proud of this. No opioids, just Tylenol. If you ever have to have a hip replacement, it's the best joint replacement you could have. It's the easiest. Yeah. So
I had a shoulder replacement.
Did you? That's the hardest.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question that we try to ask all our guests. Except for the Republican ones, we don't have a lot of those. Why are you a Democrat? At some point in your life, you decided, I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. That goes back to the blood of my mom. Single mom. She was actually a union organizer for the Pipe Fitters Union it's in Port Arthur, Texas. So it's oil refining, oil exploration stuff. And back in the 60s, the term didn't exist back then, but Blue Dog Democrat was the label for that area. Strong labor unions, strong commitments to like good work and good fair pay. So she was just an organizer, making sure that everyone was registered to vote before the internet, if you think about it. So you had to make sure all these pipe fitters out there. So it just really resonates. That's always been in my blood. And in fact, if you think about it, that legacy of service, that legacy of sacrifice and commitment to something greater than yourself resonates down to our core principles as a Democrat. And today, I think there's a call to action that's occurring that hasn't happened maybe in the last 150 years. You go back to the Civil War, and you can really say, okay, that was a biggie for us as a union. But here today, we're witnessing, and I don't mean to sound melodramatic, but we're witnessing a change that if we're not quick, if we're not sharp, if we don't respond, this could get really dire. So, again, melodramatic as hell, but I don't care. I'm willing to push, and I'm willing to kind of sacrifice. And Jason, we need to have someone in the seat that's willing to take the hard votes for the district, even at their own peril. And I'm not doing this for a political career. I'm 61. I've already had 2 great careers, military and civilian service in my communities, raising 3 wonderful daughters. Their legacy of service continues. I'm not doing it for a career. I want to do what's best for the district and have that opportunity. And I love the fact that we have a primary. And I love the fact that 2 weeks ago that you were talking with Alex, and you got he was kind of chuckling about, wow, man, we got 2-1 on the votes on that thing. And I love the fact that the district assembly process responded and has given us the mojo, and we're coming. We are coming.
Yeah, we think this is like a very good problem to have.
Hell
to
yeah.
have like 2 really well qualified Democrats battling it out. We're curious though, like 2 questions kind of in one. You've alluded to this, but we'd like to ask you the question directly. First of all, why should Democratic primary voters choose you instead of Alex Kelloff? And secondly, are you worried at all that a competitive primary between you guys will, waste money and take resources away? Or are you hoping that it sharpens you up for the general election?
I think it's the latter one is quite easy. I think it's absolutely sharpens. In fact, in the military, and it's other industries, but steel sharpens steel, right?
Right.
We want a better result, and the better result means you let the 2 candidates work through the process, make their arguments, and obviously end up letting the district decide. And frankly, not just the district, it's obviously not just Democrats. We know that independents and obviously Republicans even can opt into our primary. I think there's going to be a lot of motivation, a lot of activation in that respect. So that's an easy one. But the earlier one, it's like, what's the difference? Again, I'm the only one in this race who's lived in the district more than 4 or 5 years. Okay, that's number one. Number 2, I'm the only one who has actually served in the district, served, humbly stated, broadly, deeply, continuously. And I don't know if you've ever interviewed somebody who has had elected service in so many communities.
No, it's city council, school board, water district, fire district. My joke was going to be, why do you want to be demoted to the U.S. House of Representatives?
You should meet my wife. She would say the same thing, but she's motivated for this thing as well. But so that is a huge distinct difference. And again, here's another one. It continues on. I'm the only one in the race who's actually started a business of good-paying blue-collar jobs in the district for the district on behalf of district citizens, 100 plus. And in fact, over the 11 years, guys, hundreds and hundreds of jobs created for folks, and dozens of families positively impacted. Number 3. Number 4, I'm the only one who's actually raised a family in the district and has produced gals that are now serving in our military for our nation, who also at the age of 18 took the oath of office and swore with their lives. That is super rare. And then also, like we talked about, just the body of work and in the total trajectory. I love the fact that his story and all the the great grandparents and the parents and the grandchildren or grandparents, blah blah blah, but they're not running. It's him. He's running, and I want to know what he's done in the district. I do believe sincerely. It's like, Ian, it's like your wife. She, before she became a congressperson, she served admirably, state representative, state senate. She learned how to, connect with folks on issues that are widely, debated and come to solutions, and all of that learning, all of that experience, and all of that cred, that street cred, really comes together, and it makes her a more powerful congressperson. The same thing holds true here. It's absolutely the same thing. So I think in totality, the differences couldn't be more distinct and clear.
There's a bit of a rift in the Democratic Party these days in Colorado, partially because the Republican Party is so inept. But you've got a rising group on the left and fighting maybe what you would call more establishment types. Where do you think Democrats in the 3rd Congressional District fall by and large on that spectrum
right now? I mean, because it obviously is a relevant question in the moment, for the moment, and I really, really dig the question, because what we're hearing is that typical might have been, well, they're still sticking to their kind of the core policies, and we got different factions. We've got we got progressives, we got moderates, we got the kind of the conservative group. Right now, what we're here is straight up. It goes back to that there's a call to action to fight. There's a call to action that we need to absolutely take. We have had hardcore, senior, very experienced delegate members, county chairs and former county chairs, who have pivoted away from their original, selection of the other candidate over to us, because they have said straight up, we need a fighter. The policies are all damn good to be talking about right now, but winners make policy and losers go home. And so we need a fighter. I was pleasantly surprised, because I was, and obviously it's 4 weeks in. So we all have many months in front of us to continue to listen and develop positions. But I think the topic statement, that the why for all of us, right now is, we have to stop that administration. We need to win that seat. And that's hugely important, that particular seat. And so
do you find yourself somewhere on the spectrum? Like, if you, like, when you self-identify, you're like, I am a progressive, I'm a democratic socialist, I'm a centrist, I'm a liberal.
I like
are any of these terms useful?
I like moderate Democrat, and I also like, although it's there's dwindling numbers, but I love, because again, going back to my mom, the blue dog attitude, right? Which in essence is small government, states' rights, but tremendously strong safety nets that are there for a purpose and are diligently protected and preserved. And I think that's the compassionate side of a blue dog. But again, moderate, yes, that's where I stand.
It's very John Salazar to call out someone you mentioned before. So we're recording this interview on Friday, April 3rd, where just today, the Washington Post, who still somehow conducts journalism occasionally, revealed that Donald Trump's unendorsement of Jeff Hurd came on the heels of a pressure campaign led by Speaker Mike Johnson. Here's a quote from the article, and I want to hear your reaction to it. It was hardly the first time a GOP lawmaker had drawn Trump's public wrath for crossing him, but what followed was a highly unusual event in today's Republican Party. Within hours, Speaker Mike Johnson was on the phone to Hurd, Jeff Hurd, your potential primary or Republican opponent in the general, to hatch a plan to support the incumbent. Soon after, an army of lobbyists from tech, energy, and other sectors, along with current and former lawmakers, urged the White House to reconsider what some viewed as a costly mistake heading into the midterm elections. A few weeks later, Trump, who rarely acknowledges a mistake, reversed course. Returning to social media, he said Hurd once again had his complete and total endorsement, and that he was offering Hurd's primary challenger and her husband a job to get them out of the race. What was your reaction to this revelation? I'm assuming you read this article.
Oh, yeah, we read it for sure. Thank you for bringing that up, Ian. There's only one thing that has changed between his unendorsement and his re-endorsement, if you remember that, for like 5-6 weeks apart, right? There's only been one thing that's changed. It's been our entry into the race. And I know that the other opponent, our opponent, will claim that it's because of his legwork, but that was a constant. The legwork of 11 months that was a constant. It was happening before, during, and after. The structural change I think we got some attention. Now, clearly, I'm not saying anything more than just a fleeting, hey, what, uh-oh, there's a military veteran, uh-oh, there's somebody in there that actually could win. I think that actually had some calculus. I think that actually
Mm,
had some play on the calculation. But I also think it's really interesting, and it reflects poorly, I believe, on Hurd himself. It actually further weakens his credibility with his own constituents. It reveals kind of an ugly underbelly of like, oh man,
mm.
you're willing to do just about anything to keep the seat. There was an opportunity. There was an opportunity after the unendorsement to stand tall and to
Right.
show some backbone, and it didn't happen.
So do you think that, Donald Trump's endorsement might lose general elections all over the place, but it still carries quite a bit of credibility in a Republican primary? Do you think if he stuck with Hope Scheppelman and she ran the race to the end that she would have won the Republican primary, or do you think Hurd would have won no matter what?
My inclination is the latter,
Mm,
and that's further evidence, at least subjective evidence, to why he made a miscalculation. He could have just stood tall, and I think
right, because we ended up in the same place we started.
yeah, yeah, he could have stood tall, and just said, okay, look, I'm in it to win it. I'm in it for all the right reasons, to support this district and these constituents, and let's have that race. Let's go. Anyway, it's kind of it's water under the bridge at this point, but he is not. I don't think it fared well with his base. In fact, we know it didn't. You could see it, on social media and elsewhere. It did not fare well.
Well, let's say you win the primary, you're the Democratic nominee this fall. What's the case that you make to prosecute against Jeff Hurd?
Yeah, it's a great question. This will be part of it, obviously, the unwillingness to actually show strength in the face of anger and in the face of a menacing government. Number one. Number two, we will obviously have to. He has a voting record, and the biggest strategic
Mm,
misstep for him was his support of the One Big Beautiful Bill. That the
Hmm.
House passed it by one vote. I mean, I like to compare it to, remember old Senator Manchin over there in West Virginia.
right.
He was expert at pulling in last minute holdouts to bring more support to his constituents there in West Virginia. He was an expert at it. And, sometimes it pissed everyone off, but most of the time he was doing what he signed up to do,
Hmm.
to represent his constituents. Jeff Hurd had that chance. And since that time, it seems that based on reports, and I'm not actively attending any town halls with these cats, but it sounds like, he refuses, and he's been directed not to hold, face-to-face town halls, which is just an absolute blunder. So back to your point, I mean, there's going to be a two-pronged approach. We continue to connect with as many constituents across the district, red, blue, independent, red, blue, heck. Two of my daughters are independent, and my wife is independent. So I got 3 votes right there from independents, just right out of the gate. So we continue to make our message to red, blue, and independents that we are the best candidate to literally to win that seat. So, and there's going to be reds, there's going to be moderate Republicans who are frustrated with their own vote. And even more
Mm,
frustrated, even with the news this morning of an F-15 jet going down, and we're probably going to lose 2
right.
more crew members. Now that might be as many as 15 military losses and 300 plus injured of our own military in an unprovoked war. So they're pissed, and we could continue to make our messages of what is right and what's decent and the returning kind of the rule of law and stable government. And then at the same time, we obviously need to expose in a very, very, I think, a very clean, factual way, his missteps and his misguided approach to representing the district. Those two in combination, we build a large base of common ground and common good. I think, and by the way, our candidacy so much relates to the rank and file of our district. It's a rural district, blue collar jobs, blue collar folks, just trying to make ends meet week in, week out. It so resonates. I come from nothing, and I've served my country, my state, and my community for the last 43 years. And we've created a legacy of service with our employees, with our fellow community members, and even with our own family. That resonates so well. It's relatable. And if you become relatable, you become electable. And becoming electable there's in between, there's this nexus. It's called building relationship that leads to some trust, and then it leads to some confidence. That connection will get us there. And I think we are on a really strong initial momentum and support to do just that. So I'm looking forward to November. By the way, to be clear, that's our sights, obviously. This is not a one and done. We're not doing this for the next 90 days just to say we had like a poli-sci case study. This is real.
Well, let me ask you the other side of that coin. What's Jeff Hurd going to say about you?
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I would hope that he would stick to, like we just said, we need to stick to the facts, and I would hope he would do that. He would look around and say, okay, he's an Aspen guy, but to be clear, I'm self-made, and I have a mortgage and I have 2 car notes. I mean, this is real. Our third daughter didn't go to ROTC, so I got some student loans I'm working on. Hell, I had my own student loan, Chase, when I got out. I went to Harvard Business School. I got an MBA. We don't really talk about that, but we did that before we moved to the district, 95, 96. I showed up with negative net worth. I was in debt. And I know what that feels like. So he's gonna bang on me with the Aspen thing. That's fine. He's gonna also try to argue that I'm just kind of a bleeding heart liberal and probably make up some stuff like that. He'll probably try to say the same thing, which is going to fall on deaf ears. Oh, he got in late. Oh, he got in late. It's like, yeah, but we had a reporter come up, a senior reporter in the Colorado River Valley, actually. She came up and she said, people are bitching about that, but at the end of the day, it's like a deadline from a news article. I made it. It was 2 minutes before, but I made it, and it's in the paper the next day. So that's called a victory. That's a success. It's like, all right, I want you on our team.
Well, Dwayne Romero, despite being late to the race, you are fun to talk to, my friend. Where can people get involved in the campaign if they want to find you online?
Yes. RomeroforColorado.com. RomeroforColorado.com. That is a great thing. We're obviously we're on all the social media platforms. We got a great local team. Cole Berger. We've got Felix Frisch, who you guys met. And Felix helps us out with the launch. And Cole, and we're obviously we got some media folks that are helping us out as well. We're going to continue to round out. It's going to be kind of a tight knit. You can tell I'm a military guy. I like precision. I like good discipline, and I'm not an over control guy though. And Felix can testify to that. We are all about just staying real, boots on the ground, connecting with folks where they are. And just bringing that message. So again, RomeroForColorado.com. Sorry, long-winded.
No, you're good. Thank you so much. Dwayne Romero, Democrat for the 3rd Congressional District. Find him at RomeroForColorado.com and on all the social media websites. You got a little less than 90 days to make the case to the people of the 3rd Congressional District. And if you're the nominee, we'll ask you to come back on the show and talk some more smack about the bread sandwich. But Dwayne Romero, thank you so much for coming on the Get More Smarter podcast today. It was really great to see you.
Thank you, guys. You're superstars. Thank you both.
Thank you.